Hello, welcome back to Asian Cinema Season 2017, another movie review, a recent Japanese film called After the Storm, directed by Hirokazu Koreeda. I had heard nothing about this director until about 2-3 months ago when the few people I know on the internet were recommending him to me, and I started looking into his films, what kind of stuff he did, and one critic I saw wrote that he was like the second coming of Ozu, which really intrigued me. Someone else said to me he was a bit like a Japanese Richard Linklater, which really appealed to me. Someone who deals in kind of very realistic and naturalistic dramas. So I figured I'd check out his most recent film that's available, which is After the Storm. The original Japanese title I much prefer, which translates to, I think, Even Deeper Than the Sea, which goes to a very memorable line in the film itself. But After the Storm made me think that, okay, so this is going to be about a storm that happens, and the movie's going to follow the ramifications from what happened during the storm, the fallout of whatever kind of dramatic event was going to unfold during this storm. But the storm happens at the end of the movie. So the only thing that's after the storm is the last 3 minutes of the movie. So anyway, not a big fan of the After the Storm title, but the film itself and my first venture into Koreeda's filmography. What did I think? I really liked it. I even maybe loved it, I think. It's about a father who's recently lost his father, and he is trying to reconnect with his son, and also his ex-wife to some extent. In fact, I would say maybe even more with his ex-wife than his son. And it's interesting because this main character, whose name I don't think I even caught in the subtitles actually, he is not the most likable character in the world. And I love the actor who played him. There's just something about his acting that I really enjoyed, the way that he performed. I don't know, there was something really captivating about it. He just seemed so believable, and the character he had was one that I could kind of relate to, not personally, but someone I've known in my life. I could see the traits, and I could feel the same kind of frustrations that the other characters in the film had with his character. He's a guy who, you know, is just, he's hanging on by a thread in a lot of ways. He's one of those people who lives day by day and is always looking to tomorrow and never really gets stuff done in the now, in the present. And I can actually, there's something I can relate to with myself there a little bit, but certainly I've seen that more in someone that I've known in my life. And you know, it's frustrating when someone's like that, someone who you know has so much good in them, has so much promise in them, so much potential in them, but they can't just realize it for themselves. He has a bit of a gambling issue, and you know, you can tell that this is, you know, one of the many reasons why he is, you know, estranged from his wife and his son, and you know, he gets to see his son every month and so on. And we also follow his mother, who is dealing with the loss of her husband. The film opens with her, in fact, and I thought the actress who played the mother was, or the grandmother in the case of the young boy, was just awesome. I loved her performance. Really funny and heartfelt, you know. I really connected to her character a lot. And the storm sequence, the typhoon, is kind of looming throughout the film, and in the last kind of 45-50 minutes of the film, we kind of get the family back together. We get this divorced couple and their son and his mother. So it's kind of like, you know, bringing this kind of weird family unit back together because of the storm, and so they have to spend the night together, and so they're forced to kind of, you know, maybe confront their issues a bit more head-on than they have been. And it's a film about regret, it's a film about reflection, and it's a film about finding who you are and who you want to be, which sounds really wanky, but that is very much a key theme in the film, and that's something I think about a lot. You know, like, what is my life meant to be about? You know, what am I focusing on? And that's something that the main character just hasn't really considered all that much, and is starting to, as the film unfolds, realize that's something he needs to question within himself. Otherwise, he's just going to keep, you know, just treading water for the rest of his life. And so I really liked the conflict of the main character, and I love how the actor who played him is this very tall man, you know, very manly appearance. His jawline looks like it could have been chiseled out of granite, but he, you know, he doesn't have that kind of typical, you know, manly kind of getting things done trope about him. He was almost helpless. You know, his mother says this. She's like, he needs everything done for him, you know, and you kind of empathize for him, even though the things he does in the film are very unlikable at times, I thought. So in that sense, I really appreciated how it was a main character who, you know, I kind of was rooting for, even though he wasn't really making the right moves for pretty much the entire film. There was something likable about him, and I think that's down to the acting, down to the performance. But the writing was great too. I really liked the dialogue. I liked how natural, again, the performances were, which is seemingly the style that Kurita has adopted for his filmmaking. And I like that style of film. I like the setting, the location. I'm just a sucker for the Japanese, not even the culture, just the, you know, the way that the little towns look and little streets and stuff. He's a private detective, so there's a lot of stuff in the first hour of the film where he's out and about in the streets and kind of following people and so on. And we get to know this guy before we get into the family stuff. So for the first like 45, maybe 50, 55 minutes of the film, we don't really see his family. So it's slowly, you know, I didn't know anything about the plot. You slowly begin to realize that he has a family, but he doesn't see them all that often. And you kind of begin to realize exactly why that is. So, yeah, there's not too much to say about this film, really. And I've actually tried to record this review about 3 or 4 times, and I just kept getting lost in my own thoughts about it. And so I think this is probably a good length, just to leave it, you know, not go too deep into analysis or anything like that. But it's definitely one I want to revisit. It's definitely one I want to pick up the Blu-ray for, which I think is just coming out in the UK now. And there's actually a nice Arrow Academy box set coming out, which I'm hoping to get for Christmas, and see more of Kurita's films. So I'm excited about that possibility. I was hoping to maybe watch more of his films for this Asian cinema season, but time just got way ahead of me in this one, so it just wasn't possible. But it's a really, really promising start. If you've seen any of his films, let me know which ones you liked, which ones you'd recommend me to check out first. I'm sure I'll get to them all at my own pace, but if there's one in particular you think is really great and that I would like more than the others, I'm all ears. And yeah, again, I really like the performance of the main actor. And even the actress who plays his ex-wife, she was really good at showing the restraint that she was going through, because it was a very difficult situation for her when she finds herself at her ex-mother-in-law's, and she really, I mean, she's really antagonistic towards her ex-husband. But you understand why, you know. In other movies you might feel like she's just being a bitch, but you get that whole backstory, not even the backstory, you get the setup of what this guy is like, how he would gamble away stuff, how he isn't paying child support, and how he is just, you know, frittering his life away on, you know, the promise of tomorrow, which is a very dangerous thing that I have seen and witnessed firsthand be the downfall of some people who follow that way of life, you know. It's just, yeah, it's not recommended. I mean, everyone's different, but certainly it's a film that's a cautionary tale about that kind of lifestyle. And responsibility is another key theme in the film. So yeah, and I like how the film didn't feel like a film. It didn't get wrapped up at the end. It didn't get kind of you know, switched around where the characters suddenly learn the error of their ways and everything is fine and dandy again. You know, certainly I would see in maybe an American movie, not to typecast American movies, but I could see in an American movie it being where the, you know, the divorced couple get together at the end, it's all happy and stuff, and, you know, I'm not going to spoil what does happen, but certainly there's no definitive conclusion as to what, you know, what's going to happen next. You can only hope for a better ending, or not even a better ending, a better continuation of these characters' lives, I suppose. But I like that it didn't really pull a full switcheroo on any of the characters. There was a feeling of it keeping true to who those people were, and just the hope that maybe they would begin to change beyond the scope of the 2 hours of the film that you just watched. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the film. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause